I'm going to begin, guys, just by saying, I mean, we've seen the whole kind of the party getting out of hand narrative done before, but usually with kind of teenagers. It's just that little bit funnier, isn't it, when we're dealing with kind of fully fledged adults?
A little bit. It's amazing how regressive you can get and become a teenager yourself when you've had a little bit too much to drink and you really get to unwind, especially with people that you work with normally in a very controlled and, paced out environment.
Because, I mean, there's a lot of kind of aspects of this that anyone who kind of works in an office or just anyone who works sort of 9 to 5 can resonate with. But how similar is this to the kind of typical film wrap party?
Well, it's not as similar because, corporate environments are so filled with rules and you really are sort of not encouraged to get to know the real nature of your, the people you work with. And so I think in a corporate environment, it's what makes office parties so much more dangerous. I think wrap parties, we're all derelicts in the film business anyway. So.
And I mean, obviously, you're working with a few actors you've collaborated with before. I mean, that must add a real sense of kind of comfortability and familiarity on a set.
Yeah, we've actually been to lots of parties offset with Jennifer and Jason. So, and we'd worked with Rob Corddry before. We worked with T.J. Miller before. So there was a lot of familiarity that led to good times on set. I mean,
Jason Bateman plays this kind of character that is represents the viewer in just the most incredible way. He's got this sort of face, which is just this sort of everyman face.
He's a great everyman. Yeah.
Almost just can't believe what's going on around him. I mean, he must be the most perfect kind of casting for a role of this nature.
Well, he was, and we really, surrounded him with this sort of murderer's row of crazy talent, and so, he was the perfect sort of anchor to all these energies.
I mean, and Jennifer, incredibly versatile actress. That performance in Cake a couple of years ago really showed off her dramatic credentials. Yeah. But there are a few better comedic actresses in the world than her. I mean, that must be something you guys agree with as well.
That are better than her comedically?
Yeah, there can't be many.
She's pretty funny, and she knows where a joke is. And I think what's great about her is that she does bring to it a sophistication in the acting that a lot of people, I think, don't really know about her. And so it's been kind of cool knowing her through a stage where she can do something as dramatic as Cake and be acknowledged for it from an award standpoint, but then also play, within our space and do something that's brave and interesting and different.
And when you're dealing with this sort of amount of comedians all in one set at the same time, and do you allow much room for improvisation? I mean, so many of these actors have been on kind of Saturday Night Live and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, you don't want to get that, kind of talent and then just make them read the same jokes over and over again. So on all of our movies, we encourage improvisation and a looseness. And it's amazing how quickly people start to try to top each other, and it becomes, I mean, we were in the editing room with, just too many good jokes. It was great.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, they all try to sort of outdo each other on set. I've got a friend who's a stand-up comedian. I went to his house once, and there was a party, and we were watching this TV show, and there was about 10 stand-up comedians in the room, and it was like a bid to try and who could be the funniest person in the room.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Sounds like
it really was.
They're all pretty professional, and they've all done movies, so they know that you sort of have to keep a healthy clip on schedule. But for the most part, as Josh said, when you put people into a situation where they're all together in a conference room, there's just an infectiousness of energy, and one will play off of the other, they'll play off the other. And so we definitely, we had an ensemble. We wanted it to feel like an ensemble. So we made sure that we created as many situations with people together as possible, just for that very reason.
And it wasn't just an ensemble of kind of lead characters. I mean, there was some scenes where it looks like there was hundreds of people in the room at one time. That must be quite a challenge to direct that sort of people.
It was unruly.
Yeah, we had about 400 extras that we cast. You don't normally do this, and we took them through the entire movie because we wanted for you to recognize certain people in the backgrounds of scenes. And when you put 400 people in a party environment for 2 months straight, their worst nature comes out. I mean, you really see what people are made of.
Sounds quite appealing to me, actually.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what do you think of I mean, you guys obviously come as a pair. I mean, what do you think the benefits are as directing as a duo?
Splitting your salary, obviously.
Yeah, that's so easy.
Having to split interviews.
Yeah,
that's the advantage is being a director is the loneliest job because you're everybody's coming at you all the time and it can be overwhelming. And the great thing about having somebody that you trust is that they always have your back and you can go out and attack things with more detail. So
what he said.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 6 years, I think, since you directed a feature-length film that was sort of released theatrically. I mean, do you think the comedy genre has changed at all in that time? Have we seen any changes in that kind of slight
I think
absence?
they're definitely, in terms of the R-rated space, I think in a great way there's been a broadening of it. There's been a lot of embracing of female comedians, which I think is awesome. And we have 9 or 10 characters in our movie that are very strong, we think, diverse and sort of well-rounded female characters. But I think also the fact that you can have a lot of heart within that sort of crudeness, whereas, you know, it's moved more and more into that space where it used to be very much R-rated was sort of
very regimented.
Exactly, and then there was PG. So now it feels like there's some of those things that have merged.
And just my final question is just, what's the worst party you guys have ever been to?
Worst parties?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Let me think. I mean, anything.
My bar mitzvah? No, I don't know.
Yeah. I think anything with terrible lighting, music, and guests, which are most of them.
Yeah, we've been to some bad agency parties where you're just surrounded by work, which is not fun.
No, brilliant. Well, thanks so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure. Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey, you